Welcome to the Ultimate Elf on the Shelf Marathon. Over the next hour, we'll be exploring magical moments, mysterious movements, and even some unbelievable elf tricks caught on camera. Grab your snacks, hit that like button, and subscribe. It's gonna be an unforgettable journey. In this clip, you'll see a cheeky elf on the shelf using a small snow machine inside a house to, well, make snow. More experienced elves on the shelf can just use magic to conjure snow, but this one is probably a younger elf who just wanted to have some fun with the snow machine. So let's check it out.
In our house.
This elf was captured taking care of a sweet tooth with his fellow elves and making them cookies. This is a very nice gesture, and it shows how caring and considerate these magical beings are. Would you like to taste a cookie made by an elf? If you're interested in learning how to catch your elf pulling pranks on you outside your door, you should watch this clip. So here's what happened. An elf was captured on camera ringing the doorbell of one of the family's homes, which was lucky because they had a security camera in place at the front door. As a result, his little naughty act was exposed and he got captured on camera doing the usual mischievous behavior that elves like to do. Some elves on the shelf are super funny like this one. It was just chilling on a Christmas tree and looked straight into the camera and raised its hand in a dabbing position. It's just insane. It makes you think whether it's something Santa's teaching the elves or it's just this elf that's seen the kids do it many times and wanted to try it itself. A mom caught two elves on the shelf playing with each other in her wardrobe. The elves were seen facing each other as they kept playing and didn't seem bothered by the mom recording them. A kid and her mom caught their elf on the shelf moving on camera by a lucky accident. But in this clip, the elf was seen climbing down from the top of the wall to first rest under the pillows and then suddenly reappear to start moving towards the camera. The elf even seems to be smiling at the end, so let's check it out. I've noticed that these elves love teleporting back and forth a lot. This first clip shows elves named Marshmallow and Mocha chilling in the reef, and then you can see them glittering all around. They were caught at 4 in the morning, and you can see the first teleportation. The owner of the footage claims to have seen two elves teleporting back and forth, possibly reporting to Santa. Let's see more of the satisfying teleportation. They caught the elves not only moving and flying, but also talking and laughing with the hamsters. They only could record this event with a high-tech camera because normal cameras usually can't capture the magic of elves, so it's a really rare clip. This clip shows an elf who wanted Kellogg's cereal so bad that it literally dived right inside the box where it enjoyed eating cereal. Now we have a clip of this elf on the shelf caught moving around during the daytime. It starts its journey from Santa's lap and slowly makes its way towards the camera, where it peeks its head right in the middle of the frame before turning off the recording. This clip shows an entire elf family stuck inside a lantern. You can see a grown-up elf with several of its babies, which are wearing many different colors. We don't know how all of them ended up being stuck there, but luckily one of the elves started talking and tells us an entire story, so let's keep watching until the end.
It's kind of hard to explain, but Dark saw this glowing magical light, and he thought we would like to hang out inside of it, but then he put us all inside, and then he closed it and locked it with a big lock, and now we're all trapped inside here, and I was hoping maybe, just maybe, you could use your magic gloves and help save us.
An elf on the shelf was caught on camera, actually teasing the viewers. The elf in this clip is seen playing hide and seek with the camera. How cute. This family set up security cameras right in front of their Christmas tree to see if they could capture any of their elves moving. For weeks they waited without capturing anything spectacular until one of the elves started moving on Christmas. This cute elf slowly stands up, leans into the camera, and takes off flying. In this clip, we see an elf literally teleport into the kitchen, which is an interesting choice for elves to make. The elf then begins to do what elves do best, move around and float around while pretending no one was watching. However, when it realized that someone might be watching, it floated directly up into the camera's lens and proceeded to destroy it because elves hate being captured moving on camera. Here we have another clip showcasing elves eating their Thanksgiving dinner. The elves can be seen with evidence of the food they stole right in their mouth. We can't blame them because they might have known that they might not be invited to Thanksgiving, so they decided to take food from themselves.
Well, look at the mashed potatoes. Meeble started mashing them. She's so
This clip shows an elf on the shelf that was caught sitting calmly on top of the bed before starting to raise its hand. Maybe it has a question to ask, who knows? In this short clip, the hidden security camera captured the elf on the shelf slowly moving its eyes. The elf perhaps noticed the camera and knew that it was trying to record it moving, and that's why it only moved its eyes. In this clip, YouTuber Meeble Sporellas managed to catch their elves on the shelf sneaking various candies and sweets. We can't blame them. After all, sweets are the main source of energy for elves. While this is one of the shortest clips on the list, the surprise it packs will give you thrills. Not only did we get to see an elf that decorates, but we also got an elf on the shelf that would go into hiding immediately rather than admire its own work. This clip was recorded by a girl who was playing with her elf on the shelf in the pantry when she noticed that another elf, this one wearing black clothes, is trying to squeeze under the doors. As she picks up the elf, she notices that he doesn't have any legs, and then the other two elves can be seen waving to the girl from the other side of the doors. According to the girl, the two elves actually locked her inside the pantry, and she had to wait for hours until her mother came back from work to unlock the doors. Who knew that elves could pull such evil pranks off on their owners?
Okay, you don't look as derpy. You look a little wonky. Your hat's coming off, Evel. But look at, there's this perfectly derpy little guy. He looks happy. And then here's this little sad squished guy who lost his legs in surgery. Oh, hello! Welcome! Yes, we have a derpy. We have some your members. But guess what? They got a new makeover.
These two mischievous elves were spotted having some fun with the camera. They were undoubtedly drawn to the shining item that seemed to be staring right at them. The second elf was initially camera shy, and the other occasionally strikes a pose. Elves are really something else. The other elf is in the back beginning to move as well. It's just unbelievable. You can't just tell me that these aren't real. For this short elf on the shelf caught moving clip, we have an elf who saw a camera rolling and decided to look straight into its lens. The elf shoves its face into the camera and quickly makes its exit. What a wonderful sight. For this short clip, we have footage of a security camera at a garage. It captured an elf who entered the garage, turned on the lights, and looked straight at the camera. The elf was probably planning to do something more, but it noticed the camera and escaped the scene. This clip is a short segment from a TV news report that shows one elf on the shelf doing all sorts of crazy stuff on camera. So you're not supposed to see an elf on the shelf with your own two eyes because apparently the elves can lose their magical powers if that happens. But if you record them on camera, nothing bad ends up happening to them, so keep on watching. If you believe you've seen it all, this clip might convince you that you haven't seen anything when it comes to elves on the shelf caught on camera. This clip shows an elf on the shelf wearing a piece of clothing you'll never believe is possible for an elf to wear, so watch carefully. After
After watching this clip, we've concluded that there couldn't be any other stranger elf on the shelf caught on camera clips on the internet. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught redecorating the kitchen of its owners, and it's not the kind of decoration you would ever expect to see anywhere. We think we just found the greatest elf prankster ever.
Now we have a clip where you can see a hungry elf walking towards the pantry, opening its doors and starting to steal food. At first, the elf takes some kind of snack bag and probably brings it to its secret hideout, but then the elf returns to steal another chocolate cake mix. While what the elf did isn't nice, it's still a marvelous clip. On Christmas Eve of 2013, this elf was caught riding around the house in a tiny car with his Barbie friends. You might not notice anything weird at first, but then it moves a little and walks past the camera only to look at it directly. It jumped down from the counter, opened the door to the pantry, and threw away everything it could reach. There were also a few moments in the video where Barbie drives on her own. And you'll see the elf continuing to drive around his car, causing a mess in the kitchen and having a good time playing with the toys in the house. After the elf had its fun, it returns to the same spot in the kitchen and freezes in the same way with hopes that nothing will suspect it. As you might know, elves on the shelf move around only during the night so they can't be seen by humans, but this clip shows something different because it proves that some elves also move during the day and even scare children in broad daylight. Just look at this elf simply chilling at the fireplace. It's one of the stranger clips because it's super weird to see an elf moving in bright daylight, and it even seems to be aware of the fact that he's being recorded, but it doesn't stop him from moving, so let's check it out. In this fascinating clip, we can see two elves slowly approaching the camera, and you can hear them start giggling as they inspect this device. We don't know why the elves were laughing, but maybe they knew their owners were trying to catch them moving. But whatever the reason, their laugh is really cute. Two elves on the shelf displayed impressive magic when they both decided to use magic to create a Christmas tree in their owner's house, and then the elves joined hands together like lovers facing the Christmas tree. That's probably the most romantic elf on the shelf clip ever, so enjoy it to the fullest. In this clip, we can see a chase between a cat and an elf on the shelf, and it gets really close until the elf decides to use his magic and fly upward to avoid the curious cat. Not all cats are friendly to elves, so it was probably a good decision to make. Now we have a short clip of an elf sitting on a mantelpiece. The elf suddenly starts moving and hides behind a sign. Let's take a look at this marvelous clip once more, and this time in slow motion so we can better see the elf moving. Up next, we have an elf on the shelf who appears in front of the camera and then quickly turns its back and walks away from it. A second later, the elf approaches the camera again, but this time the elf is rubbing its hands. The little fellow was likely planning something mischievous because it left its side again, only to reappear with its friend. These two elves keep showing up in front of the camera until their owner enters the room, and then one of the elves just barely stops moving in time to avoid getting caught. Now we have a clip where this woman tricked her elf into moving. She told him that she was leaving the room, but little did the elf know that there was a hidden camera right in front of it. As the woman left the room, the elf started moving and jumping off the cabinet, leaving a magical trail behind itself.
This clip shows one of the elves driving a super expensive sports car. Obviously, it's a toy car because no elf on the shelf is large enough to drive a normal car, but it's just crazy to think that they know how to drive, and it shows that elves on the shelf have many different talents.
Now we have a clip of an elf on the shelf recording a gameplay video of him playing Minecraft. We didn't know that elves also like playing video games, and no one can really be sure if it's true or whether this elf is one of a kind who likes gaming. Anyways, he's the only one who has recorded gameplay video, so let's check it out.
In this clip, we have a really smart elf who noticed that a security camera was recording him at night, so he decided to just pick it up and do a little elf vlog, recording himself walking around the house. This recording was a perfect gift for the family, and the elf must have put in so much effort into it because just think about it, a camera is super heavy for the little elf, so carrying it around the house should have been really difficult.
Oh my goodness, what is that tree doing? What's he doing?
CMD girls.
Hmm?
Oh no. Oh.
He's going on the couch. He's going. Oh my.
Now we have a funny clip of this energetic elf dancing in the living room. After showing off his best dance move, the elf gets on the dog and starts to take a ride to the TV, where the elf gets on the mantelpiece, joins his elf friends on the TV, and starts dancing again. This elf keeps dancing until the TV turns off. What a crazy clip. In this clip, YouTube Meeble Spirella managed to catch their elves on the shelf sneaking various candies and sweets. We think one of the things elves don't account for is getting caught on camera while moving, even though they're supposed to not have the ability to move at all. However, as soon as this particular elf noticed the camera, it went into its hiding mode immediately, just to avoid getting captured. This girl discovered that one of her elves on the shelf was pregnant, and eventually the elf gave birth to baby twins. One of the babies is even wearing green clothes, and the other wears traditional red elves. We can only wonder why this is the case, and no one even knows how or why these elves got pregnant, but it's an amazing clip, so let's check it out.
Are you allowed to touch elf babies?
I think so.
Oh, so we have a boy and a girl. But they both have eyelashes. Everyone has eyelashes.
Is that true?
Even boys have eyelashes. They do? Yes. Go look at Dad.
Nighttime is fun for elves on the shelf because they always think that they're alone and won't be caught, and the elf on the shelf in this clip knows how to make use of that time. Unfortunately, there's a hidden camera set up to capture its fun time, so we can say that the elf had failed in some sense, but it also succeeded making the day. This little child wanted to catch an elf on the shelf, but it takes a weird turn because not even the kid can figure out what the elf was doing. The elf captured in this clip is a really strange fellow, and his behavior is peculiar to say the least. Elf on the Shelf really loves standing and clinging onto Christmas trees, so it's not a surprise that this elf on the shelf decided to go for the family's Christmas tree even if he gets caught by the family's surveillance cameras. Let's see how this amazing elf gets his way to the top of the Christmas tree. Trust me, it's truly amazing. The elf on the shelf in this next clip will rather choose to play hide and seek in the kitchen than stay put in one position, so let's check it out. In this clip, the elf was caught moving its eyes, and it's very rare to see an elf on a shelf moving its eyes, so it's a super special case. The person who took this video hung a candy stick on the elf's little hand. Then they must have looked away or something because elves don't move at all if someone's looking at them. At that point, you can see the elf moving its eyes, and it's just absolutely nuts, so let's take a look. Elves
elves on the shelf show that they're not selfish creatures, at least shown by the elf in this next clip. The elf on the shelf was captured on camera laying a blanket on the cold floor with the other 2 dolls in the house, and even for the car toy. Now that's a caring elf. We can only hope that it also takes care of its owners. Prepare yourself because this elf on the shelf is about to, well, poop. I'm not kidding, and that's not even the craziest part, because this guy decided to prank their elf on the shelf by leaving some chocolate-covered raisins in a jar to kind of trick the elf into eating it, but the most insane thing ends up happening, so make sure to stick around to see for yourself. So this mom set up some security cameras at the start of December because she knew that her children's elves on the shelf would like to roam around the house and do some bad stuff. In this clip, you can see them captured scooting around the house late at night, but they do something crazy at the end, so keep on watching. Now watch the following clip to see the most badass elf you've ever seen. He went to get some Fruit Loops in the morning when the rest of the family was still sleeping, and the boy who caught him just got so annoyed by what the elf did. The elf even grabbed the marshmallows on the table, so he must be really missing the sweets from the North Pole.
This is mine. Why is he using my things now?
When this girl was sleeping one night, she woke up to strange noises coming from the living room, so she rushed downstairs to see what was going on, only to find herself in the middle of hundreds of elves. It's literally insane, and her elf on the shelf was also present in the middle of the gathering, so maybe it invited its friends over for a party or something like that. I'm really curious about what they were really talking about. Maybe they were just having fun, or there's some chance that they were planning something bad. Well, it's up to you guys to decide, so make sure to keep on watching until the end.
Is lots of elf on the shelf, and I mean lots of.
For this clip, we have a shy elf on the shelf who clearly wants to start moving, but it knows that it's sitting right in front of the camera, so it doesn't move much, but slowly wiggles around in its place before it falls down on its side. In this clip, we can see 2 elves that were caught sharing a pumpkin. We all know that elves love sweets, but who knew that they also indulge in pumpkins? Now that's news for us. This clip shows 2 elves, one wearing red and another wearing pink, sitting on their toy horses, as if they're preparing for a race. However, the elf who is wearing red clothes just starts riding towards the camera. We can only wonder whether the elves wanted to race and got scared of being recorded, or they didn't even plan to race in the first place and just wanted to ride around on their little horses.
He's riding his reindeer. What is he doing, girls? What is he doing? Oh, he's gone.
Got some tears because that's so funny. That's only bubblegum.
Wait, he's coming back. What in the world?
So all of us know that elves are super talented and they can do many different things and also use magic, which makes many things much easier for them than it would be for us humans. However, this elf was captured working at a mini construction site as if he was trying to build something. The elf is even wearing a safety helmet instead of the usual Christmas hat, so we can only wonder what the elf was building. We don't know for sure what the elf on the shelf here is doing in this clip, but its movement caught on camera suggests that perhaps there's another elf on the shelf nearby who's about to join his buddy in front of the camera, so let's check it out. It's very difficult to catch elves moving, but it's even more difficult to capture them talking. But don't worry, for this clip we have an incredible recording of the 3 elves talking together. They discuss very important matters, so listen carefully.
Don't listen to Charlie and Buddy anymore.
Okay.
Up next, we have a crazy clip of an elf named Pogo hosting a pool party in the sink. At first, the elves fill the sink with water and then bring some inflatable toys, so every elf in the house would know that it's a party. After Pogo tests out its inflatable flamingo, it invites its elf friends to join in the sink. As you can see, elves definitely not a party.
Looking good. Let's put in our flamingo. So heavy. Uh-oh. Now we need the rubber ducks. Let me touch my friends to see if they can come over. We're here. Hi there, everybody. Uh-oh.
It doesn't matter how long it takes when an elf on the shelf decides to do something, because they do it eventually. In this clip, a kid sets up a hidden camera to catch his elf on the shelf moving on camera, and what this camera managed to capture will scare you. It will make you question everything you know about elves on the shelf, so let's check it out. It appears that the family's suspicions about the elf on the shelf have increased, and they believe he's likely roaming around the house. And in order to provide him with a little light, they propped him up in front of the laptop because, you know, they had to turn all the lights down in order for the elf to believe that they're sleeping. And scary enough, it moved its head in a strange way, which is going to impress a lot of you, so let's check it out. This clip features these elves on the shelf sitting harmlessly on the floor, but it's probably one of the creepiest clips of elves on the shelf we've ever seen. It just looked like 2 elves rocking back and forth, which is already creepy enough, ended on a surprising note, so let's check it out. For this short clip, we have an elf who was caught walking on the sleeping dog. This elf likely wanted to play with its furry friend, and in turn, it got caught moving. What a marvelous sighting. This clip shows footage from a hidden camera which captured an elf on the shelf flying. You can see one elf standing on top of what seemed to be a table and leaning on a glass candle holder, but after a while the elf suddenly sets off for a quick flight and finally comes towards the camera to stare at it. The elf probably noticed that it had recorded everything, and now it wants to turn it off and delete the footage. In this clip, we have an elf that doesn't wait until nightfall to stretch his legs for a bit. His name is Boris, and he seems to be unaware of the fact that he's been set up and is being filmed. After his human friend leaves him sitting on the sofa alone for just a minute to go downstairs, it only takes Boris a moment to seize the opportunity. The little fella gets up and spins around, doing pirouette-like movements, almost as if he's practicing figure skating. For an instant, he disappears from the screen before flying back into view and then dropping down on his face as he hears his friend coming back. Unfortunately, Boris might have been a little too reckless, since he was not only caught on camera, but even gives himself away due to the fact that he's in a completely different position than what his human friend left him in before. For this clip, we have 2 elves that were arriving at their owner's house. The elves used a zip line to come to the front of the door, and this entire clip looks like it's taken right from Mission Impossible movies. When the elves got to the front door, they hid from the camera and possibly entered the house through an open window. So basically, this mom was having some suspicions about her elf because it would be placed at one spot and the next morning it would be found at another place around the home. If you want to catch your own elf, make sure to listen closely on what I'm about to say because this mom shows the best tricks and tips for catching an elf. At first, she shows us that the elf is sitting silently on the Christmas tree and then proceeds to show us what seems to be the elf's door at the North Pole, which teleports it back to Santa Claus. That's the spot where you have to put your camera at because the elf will probably be trying to go back to Santa. So the next morning, she sets up 2 cameras in the living room and the kitchen, and as expected, the elf goes down the tree, and you guessed it, to the little door. In this clip, a hidden camera caught an elf on the shelf moving, but not just that, the elf itself was also seen flying around the house on what seemed to be a magical skateboard before finally finding a place to rest. This is just amazing to see, don't you think? This clip captures one elf who's wearing green clothes turning his fellow elf into a pile of candy cane dust. The owner of these elves was shocked to discover what looks to be a crime scene, and we can only hope that the other elf will return to normal instead of remaining just a pile of crushed candy canes. Who knew that elves could use such dangerous magic? Just imagine if your elf would decide to cast this spell on you and turn you into candy cane dust.
Zart the elf off the shelf. And then, this is what I discovered. And it's, wait, is this, it looks like, yeah, it is. It's Buddy. Buddy's hat, the elf on the shelf, and what in the world? He turned into something. Was it Zart? What is this something? Look, let's take a close-up look. Whoa! Whoa, yeah, it does. It looks like candy cane mints. Buddy? Oh dear. Zart, what in the world did you do?
Now we have a clip from Meeble Spirella, who is one of the most well-known elf on the shelf catchers in the world. She has caught many elves moving around her home and causing problems like stealing cookies at night and even messing with her cat. In this clip, she's caught an elf on the shelf trying to break into her bird cage, and it just is insane, so keep on watching to see how it ends.
Stairs and I looked everywhere for my elves and I could not believe what I found. Yep.
So 2 weeks before Christmas, this dad caught their elf on the shelf just flying in the middle of the video, and he was recording. Actually, this dad and his family have a verified elf on the shelf YouTube channel that they captured their elf moving a few times, so it must be a real video, and what you're seeing has happened for real. It's about to get even crazier, so make sure to keep on watching until the end. This clip was captured by a spy camera, and it shows an elf on the shelf who's trying to escape the house. While it should be happy to be spending time with a company containing other toys and dolls, this elf isn't so and decides to sneak around. For the elf on the shelf in this clip, nighttime means playtime. In this clip, an elf on the shelf can be seen moving and trying to wake up its sleeping friends. After a long time of disturbance, it eventually falls on its friends and joins the sleeping camp. Elves also need rest.
What seemed to be an innocent clip of Grandma unwrapping items turned out to be something straight out of a movie scene. A camera caught an elf trying to walk out of the house before being caught on camera, and well, let's just take a look. Now we have a clip showing a baby elf riding around a tiny toy car when the elf discovers one of her fellow elves locked inside a vault cage. The owner is shocked to see one of her cutest elves being locked and starts looking for the culprit, but none of the elves confess, so maybe it was an evil elf on the shelf locked up in the elf cage. Let's check it out.
How'd she get in and how did she get out? Yeah, she's looking out, but hey, you know what? She's still smiling. Zart.
While some elves on the shelf don't mind getting caught on cameras, and some even wave at the camera once they spot it, there are also some elves who just don't like getting caught on camera moving, and will do everything to avoid it. A great example is this elf, who after trying its best not to get caught flying, eventually got caught.
Now we have a clip recorded by a YouTuber who wanted to capture his elf on the shelf moving. As you can see, the elf on the shelf is sitting right in front of the camera, so you might think that the elf isn't going to move because elves usually don't move when they know that they're being recorded. But the elf eventually starts moving and even leaps straight into the camera. Let's check it out.
Unlike any other, like compared to
scared to try.
So imagine if they lived like 10, 20 years, well, like a lot of marine life lives a lot longer. Imagine they live like 90 years like turtles. They would have taken over long ago, dude. would have been over. This is a fact. No. But, you know, they, in the span.
Wait, dude, look. I saw that. Bro, it moved.
For this clip, we have footage from a hidden security camera in the kitchen, and one night the camera captured this wonderful moment of an elf on the shelf moving its face right into the lens before starting to dance and hop around on the kitchen counter. The elf had some midnight fun and finally takes off the counter. Now we have a clip of an elf just strolling around the living room. This girl captured this incredible footage last year on Christmas Eve, and it's a truly magical moment of an elf on the shelf coming to life and walking around the living room. For this clip, we have a super energetic elf who starts moving right in front of the camera. The elf looks straight at the camera and does a little dance of joy before starting to walk back and forth. At the end of the clip, it seems that the elf has left the camera, but its legs return to the frame before finally taking off. This clip captured a pregnant elf on the shelf moving and giving birth right in front of the camera. This is probably the first time such an event has been captured on camera, and it's truly magical. You can see that the baby elf looks slightly different than its mother because it's still just a newborn, and it will grow up to be a magical elf just like its mother. So let's check it out.
Oh, I just can't believe all of her cuteness. Go ahead, we'll put you right inside there. Oh, such a little tiny, cute little baby elfkin. Woo! Ah, Meeps, is that you? It is!
This shows elves on the shelf caught red-handed at the scene of their crime. It's the second day of Thanksgiving, and these elves must have been angry about not getting an invite to eat because they ended up breaking into the family fridge and having a feast. We can learn from this clip that it's better to just invite your elves to Thanksgiving because they might get their piece of dinner one way or another. Now we have a short clip of an elf on the shelf curiously approaching a camera, and it seems like the elf kisses the camera, but then he suddenly flips it over moments before it stops recording. For this clip, we have an elf who decided to surprise its sleeping owner by descending from the ceiling and hopping onto her head, which was enough to wake up the girl. Surprisingly, she gets scared and starts shouting. Perhaps she didn't see that it was an elf, and that's why she got so scared.
Somebody, please!
This clip captured a day in the lives of 3 elves on the shelf, from working around the house to giving a haircut to their friend Barbie. This is an insane clip that shows a lot of details on how the elves spend their free time, so let's take a look. Either the elf on the shelf in this video is trying to get down by floating in the air and eventually flying away, or the elf eventually falls. It's hard to tell, but it's a cool clip nonetheless. This next clip was recorded by a girl who woke up in the middle of the night and only sees her elf moving around in bed, so she started recording it with her phone, and she captured this marvelous sight of her elf on the shelf moving around, but it quickly notices her recording, so the elf stops moving as if nothing had happened. In this brief clip, we can see an elf looking straight into the camera before headbutting it. Perhaps the elf didn't like being secretly recorded, and that's why it tried to shut the camera off. After 2 headbutts, the elf understands that it doesn't know how to turn the camera off, and it leaves the scene. We now have a clip of an elf who was spotted ziplining off the top of the Christmas tree. Not every elf is brave to attempt this kind of crazy trick, but this elf is also friendly because as he's done with this kind of stunt, he slowly approaches the camera and smiles right at it. And we're super fortunate that this family decided to set up a hidden camera because otherwise we would have never seen anything like this.
This is how the elf is.
In this short clip, we can hear the chef elf on the shelf talking, and we can also see his friend walking behind his back.
To go, so I'll see you next year, and I can't wait to see how.
A mysterious elf chose midnight to fly around the dining room and got caught on camera in the process. While at first, it seemed the elf didn't notice the camera, the way it flew into hiding all of a sudden made us suspicious. So let's check it out.
Okay, you guys might be shocked about what you're about to see, but behold, it's an elf on the shelf. This time, it's just really gonna be fun. Well, this elf on the shelf was just getting caught out of bed going to the bathroom, but he can't seem to be able to lift the toilet seat. And here's the funny part, he decides to wee all over the bathroom sink instead. What a silly elf, right guys? For this short clip, we have an elf that started moving at night. It peeks its head from behind the couch, but soon after, the family dog notices the elf moving and starts chasing after it. The elf even hides behind the couch, so let's just hope that the dog wants to play with the elf instead of tearing it apart. Have you ever seen spooky elves on the shelf? This one will undoubtedly frighten you because this clip was recorded right after Halloween, and I guess one of the elves decided to visit his family very early before Christmas and have some fun with Halloween props. Now we have an elf owner who set up a hidden camera in front of the cookie tray to attract his elf to the shelf. But as soon as he leaves the room, you can see his elf popping out from under the table, and as soon as the elf is about to steal one of the cookies, the owner returns into the room and the elf stops moving. Because they heard noises coming from the cereal box the night before, the family set out to find what this elf was up to and trap him before he can get away. In order to catch the elf, they set up a camera the next day. Because of this, the hunch turned out to be right. He was hanging out and eating some sugar cookie cereal. In any case, let's check out the video and see what happened at the end. From hiding behind the wall to coming out to play around the house to finally choosing the right spot to hide to avoid cameras, this elf has got a lot of decisions to make. In this clip, we can see an elf happily walking and dancing in the living room. At one point, the elf takes off for a brief flight, but then returns to the ground soon after. Most elves can fly, but it requires a lot of energy, and that's why elves avoid flying all over the place, even if it's really fun. The elf hops around the living room for a while before its owner comes into the room, making the elf go limp. This guy captured a strange clip of his elf on the shelf teleporting around his house. You can see the elf flying through the air into the frame before landing on the ground, but when its owner points its camera at it, the elf disappears and no one knows where it went next. It's one of the spookiest elf on the shelf clips moving so far, so let's check it out.
Yo, where did it go? It was right here, Mr. Elf.
A YouTuber named Nicholas Bradley uploaded a clip of his elf on the shelf doing what most elves do, avoiding the camera at all costs. Unfortunately for the elf, the camera captured most of his movements, well, until it spotted the camera itself. Is there anywhere else that cannot turn into a hiding place? We don't think so. In this clip, a camera captured an elf on the shelf quietly entering the house, but after a while, the elf decided to enter at all costs and hide at a place that will surprise you, so keep on watching. This clip is from a family YouTube channel which captured a unique elf. It's unlike all other moving elves on the shelf because this one is just a giant elf. It must be the size of an adult person, and who knew that elves can grow that tall? Unfortunately, this elf was really angry that it was that tall, and it's just making a mess all around the house, like throwing furniture around. Maybe this elf got fired by Santa and became angry because now he doesn't have a job.
Sounds like it's getting a pan.
Yeah?
What is it?
He almost looks familiar.
Oh no, what's he gonna do with that? Nothing.
Nothing, alright?
Oh, he's gonna mess with the chairs.
Gigo, he's just like you. He is a naughty little elf. He looks
Did you tell someone to go into the house and break into our house?
What did he just do?
He turned on the sink.
He turned on the water.
Are you serious?
The water?
This clip shows two elves bringing a magical gift to their owner. This owner pops up this little treasure chest and discovers golden glitter inside, but after digging through it, she finds a magical key. We don't know what this key can unlock yet. Maybe it's a key to the magical doors leading to the North Pole. If that's the case, this present is a spectacular one, and the owner of one of these elves should be very happy to receive it.
Magic? Okay, let's dig and see if we can find a toy.
supposed to be a shiny new toy. Don't see anything quite yet. Okay, let's see. No, nothing. There's so much glitter. Do you see all that? It's like magic. Oh, I feel something. Oh, look. Do you see that? Okay, I think I found it. Oh, wow. It looks like it's a key. Do you see that? It says okay on it.
This elf played so many pranks on this family, and you're about to be in for an adventure. In the first few seconds of the video, the elf starts things off by sliding down the stairs and onto the fire truck toy. Then it drives to the family's room, and then the lights begin to rapidly turn off and on. But that's not the craziest part. The elf goes on to climb up the tree in the fireplace and, well, unhooks the family socks. This elf is just so mischievous, but because of that, we have this great clip to show you, so make sure to stick around to the end.
Two elves on the shelf were caught moving on camera and having a string showdown on their own. It's hard to know who will win between the two, so pick your fighter and keep on watching until the end.
This guy is aware that something is going on late at night and that their elf was up to something, so he installed a concealed camera to catch this mischievous elf. Let's take a look at what he's got. Alright, so it enters the room, disappears behind the table, and starts flying across the room. This elf is definitely using elf magic, but following this performance, he goes to the bedroom where the man is sleeping, and well, let's just take a look at what the elf ends up doing. Now we have a rare instance of an angry elf on the shelf who saw the hidden camera and attacked it. The elf punches and even headbutts the camera. The elf probably got angry at its owner for trying to catch it moving because the elves can't allow themselves to be recorded in motion. The elf keeps punching and hitting the camera before flipping it over at the very end of the clip. What a rare sighting of an elf on the shelf moving. It's time for some vitamins, and this elf on the shelf knows the right vitamin to pick from. In this clip, the elf on the shelf is trying its best to move the oranges on the table, and after much struggle, it gave up and decided to nap by resting on one of the oranges instead. A makeshift pillow out of an orange is something we never thought was possible, but this elf proved us wrong. Up next, we have a clip of an elf on the shelf getting baited by a $100 bill. So the elf's owner placed a $100 bill on the ground right in front of the elf, and the little fellow literally jumped off the Christmas tree to claim it.
Did you see that? You got to be kidding. As soon as I look.
These two guys failed to catch their elf moving, so they had a genius idea of watching the elf moving next to their elf while recording it with a secret camera. Their plan worked out because their elf started moving and its eyes even changed color at the end of the clip. It's one of the most fascinating elf on the shelf caught moving clips ever, so let's enjoy it together.
We thought at the beginning the elves were like regular humans, but really, it really shows when an actual human's beside them, right?
Will Ferrell's tall. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, but I mean, nah, but compared to these guys, look at them. They look like little shrimps. It's like me versus like you or something. Dude, come on. Massive head.
It looks awesome. Look at it has like a speed.
Dude, that thing.
The final clip shows an elf who's obviously in a party mood. In the days leading up to Christmas, the smart little guy eventually figured out how to use a laptop and goes to YouTube to listen to some music, and he apparently knew exactly what he was in the mood for before starting his little party, as he starts playing his favorite song and showing off his sick dance moves. Partying with elves would be super fun, and it's a pity that they aren't allowed to move in front of people.
There is nothing an elf on the shelf cannot do, including moving and pushing things on camera. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught doing various pranks. Let's hope the owners didn't get too mad at it. In this clip, we can see the elf on the shelf being recorded by a hidden camera, which captures him starting to move. The elf slowly moves its arms and legs before using its magical powers to briefly stop the camera from recording. Now we can see the elf looking straight at it, and the elf winks and smiles before using its magic once again, this time to disappear. These two guys purchased some cursed Elf on the Shelf cereal, which made their Elf on the Shelf move at 3 a.m. You can see it appears briefly in the background, which made the guys go downstairs and investigate. The elf is continuously peeking around the corner as if baiting the guys to come closer. The elf ends up going to the restroom, and who knows why the elf acted in the way he did. But it's surely a great Elf on the Shelf caught moving on camera clip.
Go, go, catch it, catch it. Wait, where is it? Whoa. What are you?
Guys, you're too slow. Come on.
Is it taunting us? Dude, it wants us to follow. Let's go. Hurry. Wait, hello? Where'd it go? Elf? It could have went anywhere. In here, maybe? Hello? Where'd you go? There he is.
This clip shows an elf on the shelf jumping up and down the bedroom and getting caught on the camera while doing so, but when it discovers it's being filmed, the elf could only think of a place to hide, and its choice will surprise you, so keep watching. Now we have a clip of an elf moving around an UGG shoe before making a leap and landing right into the shoe. This elf is talented.
We know that an elf on the shelf can be crazy at times, but in this clip we have two elves playing with jelly as they pour it into a bowl. While one stirs the bowl, the other one continues to add water inside the bowl full of red jellies. These elves on the shelf seem to be pretty playful as they embark on their unhealthy cooking agenda. As one elf places an empty packet on the other elf's head, they seem to be having the time of their life in this kitchen. We can also see how one elf dips the other elf into the red jelly bowl like a French fry being dipped into ketchup. This is just super amazing to see. This guy was flying his drone around the neighborhood when he came upon an elf on the shelf at the playground. Who knew that elves also like spending their time there? But that's not all, because the elf starts moving and using magic tricks to vanish into thin air before reappearing soon after and testing out one of the slides, so keep on watching.
The right way, bro! You're supposed to go down the slide! Guys, I don't think there's slides at the North Pole. Like, I don't know, he doesn't know how it works. Do something off of the shelf, please! Go, oh, yo! What? Where'd he go? Bro, he literally just disappeared. Yo! Hello? Off the shelf, what are you doing? He just went down the slide! Yay! Good!
Now we have a clip where this teenager was reading a book while his elf was sitting on a coffee table next to him. Unexpectedly, the elf starts moving, and when its owner notices, he jumps off the chair and runs away. Elves rarely intend to scare their owners, but seeing your elf move on its own can sometimes be scary. As this guy records an introduction for his YouTube video, you can see his elf sitting behind him on a closet start to move its arm and wave at the camera. What a spectacular sighting. Now they introduce to their son, the elf, and they make great friends.
Touch him. I'm not supposed to touch him.
The owner of the clip wants us to share the video before the government sees it and decides to ban it because officially elves on the shelf are just toys and can't come alive. Anyways, it's just another elf on the shelf moving while the family is sleeping, and we can agree that while this is nothing new, a moving elf is always amazing to watch. So let's see how this one goes. In this brief clip, we can see an elf on the shelf sitting on the Christmas tree before the elf falls down. Perhaps it wanted to move, but it noticed the secret camera recording it, so the elf made sure to quickly get out of frame so he can move without being recorded. This clip starts off like many elf on the shelf caught moving clips, by the elf approaching the camera, but unlike many other elves who take interest in cameras, this one was angry that it was recording and literally flipped it open. We can't really blame the elf because they can't allow themselves to be caught moving. Okay, you won't be able to convince me any longer that these elves didn't develop a taste for cereal at this point, due to the fact that this family has heard noises coming from cereal boxes the night before. The family was determined to find out what the elf was up to and trapped him before it could get away, so the next day they decided to set up a camera in order to catch their elf in the act. The hunch was correct, and he was actually hanging around and snacking on some sugar cookie cereal. But more than that, he appears to be in a state of limbo, and that's just what you get for being a glutton. Anyways, let's have a look at this clip and see what happens at the end. It's said that mysterious things happen in the dark, and this clip shows such examples because a mom who recorded it captured this fascinating moment of her elf on the shelf using magic to fly and teleport all over the place. This is truly amazing. An elf on the shelf was caught on camera lifting itself from the inside of Santa's socks and then started moving around the house until it got to the bag where there was a lot of candies inside. After a while of trying to create a sleeping spot for itself in between the candies on the floor, it finally went back to staying inside of the socks. It's probably much warmer than the alternative. This clip shows two elves on the shelf potty training. Well, kinda, because it seems like the second elf has left her many gifts on the toilet seat and a note, which suggests that the elf isn't as much potty training as pranking her owner. At least elves poop candy, so this entire situation is not as bad as it could have been. Just imagine what could have been an alternate to that.
They're everywhere. Oh my. I have to say, your outfit's looking mighty beautiful. Along with your eyeballs. Oh, look. She has a note for us. Hoo, you can't go. Oh, but I really gotta go. I have to go potty. What am I gonna do?
In this clip, the elf on the shelf seems to be sitting still until suddenly it starts moving. It quickly stands up and walks in circles until it slips and falls back down. Perhaps this elf isn't used to moving its legs a lot and that's why he fell down, but regardless of that, it's still a pretty fun clip. We have a clip of this kid capturing his elf on the shelf enjoying some Tic Tacs. When the boy points the camera at the elf, it doesn't move, but when the kid turns around and it returns to the elf, you can see that the arms have moved and it starts eating Tic Tacs. It's one of the many clips where elves are too shy to move on camera, but as soon as you leave their presence, they start moving.
I had to go and see what it was.
Up next, we have a clip of this girl setting up a camera right in front of an elf who's sitting right under the Christmas tree. As soon as the girl leaves the room, the elf uses magic to teleport out of sight only to reappear right in front of the camera. The elf starts moving and leaves the frame before returning right in front of it shortly after. What a wonderful clip of an elf on the shelf moving. In this short clip, you can see the elf on the shelf spinning on the ceiling. The family who captured this clip swears that the elf got up there all by himself. If that's the case,
in this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught moving by the chimney. What happened was the dad was trying to bring back the magic into the elf. You see, his kid accidentally touched the elf, resulting in it losing its magic. It was a really sad moment, but then the dad knew exactly what to do. A little bit of cinnamon powder will do the elf some good. Cinnamon is a great thing to put on your elf to bring their magic back, and after some time, the elf really did move. Make sure to remember this because it's a great trick to have active elves during Christmas.
this kid was introducing their elf on the shelf named Jingle, and later he leaves the elf in front of the camera in an attempt to capture it moving on video. Naturally, he does indeed move, but then it vanishes into thin air. But just think for a second, what if the elf simply didn't move at all while the video was being recorded? That would be extremely embarrassing for those attempting to catch them, but luckily this clip is a success.
This guy is on a quest to catch the elf on the shelf moving over the Christmas season. He tried putting chocolate coins and candy canes in front of the elf to make him move and grab a piece of the chocolate for a snack, but it's not gonna work. He needs to pay closer attention to the elf, but nothing appears to be changing. So he turned off the lights and installed a night vision camera, and then the elf vanishes, leaving the goodies half empty. What happened to it? Fortunately, the guy fitted a GPS tracker to the elf to keep track of it. And where do you think the elf on the shelf went? Of course, to the North Pole, and the elf is probably going to tell Santa everything that's happened to him.
Peeking right at the camera, the elves even start headbutting the camera, and then they heard someone coming to open the doors and made their escape.
If you didn't know, you aren't supposed to touch your elves on the shelf, because if touched, they can lose their magic powers. And that's exactly what happened to this elf, and you can see because their eyes are blank. Fortunately, the owner's an elf on the shelf expert, and she made a magic potion out of cinnamon and foam to help her elf regain its magic powers. So let's check it out.
The magical lock. Okay, oh, whoa, that was quick. Did you see that? It opened up immediately. Whoa, she just moved. I just saw her move. Okay, let's see. Have my magic gloves on so they will not lose their magical powers. Ah! She is! She's still smiling!
So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane, and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case, it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. This one's really crazy, guys. So this kid thought of pranking his elf on the shelf by pretending to leave the room. Little did the elf on the shelf know that he was under surveillance and his every move was being recorded. Some elves are easier to trick than others, but we should love our elves even if they're not moving.